Hello, horror heads, and welcome to the show. We have a good one for you this week as we are joined by our friend Eric, who is a big horror fan and chose our featured movie. He has a YouTube channel called Hey Internet, Eric here, where he reviews old movies, TV shows, and all kinds of good stuff, and we'll talk more about that in a bit. I'm a little indifferent about this week's movie. I like it, but it's never been one of my favorites, but I always thought to most horror fans it was a celebrated classic. Well, apparently I was right, because according to our recent Twitter poll, most of you love it. 80% actually that voted on the poll said that they absolutely love it. And so I'm not at all surprised by the results. Thanks to everybody that participated in the poll. Speaking of Twitter, guys, I want to thank those of you who are following us on social media. All of our followers have been climbing, but Twitter in particular has been going crazy. In the past couple of months, our Twitter page has been going up about 100 followers a week. That is insane. Thank you all for that. Love you guys. If you're not following us on social media, but you want to, we're going to tell you how you can do just that at the end of the show. So now, with all that said, let's get to work. This is The Graveyard Shift. Horror with Sheldon and Mike. Welcome to episode 25 of The Graveyard Shift, where each week we watch a movie from the horror category and break it down into delicious bite-sized morsels. We'll talk about the plot, some production details, what we like, what we didn't like, plus any other info we think is relevant. I am your host Sheldon, and I never work the Graveyard Shift alone. Please say hello to the reason I check under my bed at night, my co-host Mike.
Hello!
Mike, how are you after watching this movie?
I'm reminded of a lot of shit that I forgot. Like, I enjoyed the movie, but it ran a lot longer than I remember, and there was like a long distance between the kid disappearing and them mounting a rescue effort. I just totally forgot about it. So, it's like I saw the movie for the first time.
Yeah, I saw this one, it was a long time for me. It was about 20 years since the last time I watched it, so it's quite some time. And yeah, I didn't quite remember it exactly the same as when I watched it this time. But anyway, why don't we get into it? How about you tell everyone what we've got for them this week?
Well, today's episode is Holmes Can't Make This Right, because we watched Poltergeist.
We certainly did, and this one was a suggestion by our friend Eric from the YouTube channel Hey Internet, Eric here, and he just so happens to be joining us tonight. Hello, Eric, and welcome to The Graveyard Shift. Eric, you there?
Eric, did we lose you? Okay, folks, it looks like we're having some technical difficulties here.
Guys, can you hear me?
Oh, he's there.
Guys, something weird is going on.
Eric, you sound really strange. What's happening?
I don't know what happened. I was just watching TV while I was waiting for you guys to introduce me. All of a sudden I heard some strange voices, and I was in this place filled with mist. I can't see anything. I have no idea where I am.
What the?
Sheldon, he was watching TV, heard weird noises, suddenly he's in a weird place filled with mist. Do you know where he is?
No, you don't think...
He's been pulled into the spirit world!
Oh no!
A little help here?
Mike, we've got to do something.
Okay, remember we talked to that old psychic lady that one time? Remember what she told us?
I really don't know if they were hooked up on the set of Poltergeist.
No, not that.
Oh, now I remember.
No, I don't do helium whippets. I don't even know what they are. Stop laughing at me.
No, the other thing.
Munchkin!
Fine. Are you one of the little people from Wizard of Oz? Damn PC bullshit.
No, the other thing.
If someone ever gets lost on the other side, the only way to get them back is for someone else to go and get them.
Yeah, that's the only way. We have to go in and get them.
Hey guys, I'm kind of freaking out here.
Okay, don't worry, Eric. Help is on the way. All right, I've got some rope in the garage. I'll hold on to one end. You tie the other end around your waist and go through the void. And then...
Whoa! Why am I going through? You go through.
Huh? I ain't going in there. I'm going to be the anchor.
You're as smart as an anchor if you think I'm going in.
All right, fine. I'll go in. But I'm taking this baseball bat.
Why?
To use on the ghosts.
You can't hit a ghost.
Oh, and you know this, do you? No, you've never tried. You don't know. What was that?
Did you hit a ghost?
Oh, that was me closing my window. Looks like I left it open and my damn hipster neighbors were outside vaping. It was all blowing in here.
Oh. Okay. I guess that explains that.
Yeah. I feel kind of dumb. Sorry for the panic, guys.
But, what's up with your voice?
My voice? I don't know what you mean.
Oh, sorry, I put the wrong filter on your feed. My bad. Click.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's better. On with the show, I guess.
All right.
So, Eric, since this was your pick, why don't you tell us what made you decide on this movie?
Well, if I had to pick a favorite horror movie, I would pick Pet Sematary. But you guys already did that one. So if I was going through, my choices, Poltergeist would probably be the second choice. Of those, those two films, I don't get scared easy when it comes to horror films, but when it comes to, I'm 36 now, and when it comes to films that still give me that watch in the dark, still creeped out, you need to wear a diaper because you're going to piss on yourself feeling, Poltergeist is one of them.
Cool. Well, here are some facts about Poltergeist. It was released on June 4th, 1982, and it is an American supernatural horror film directed by Tobe Hooper and I use that term loosely, of Texas Chainsaw Massacre fame, and written and produced by Steven Spielberg of about, 100 gigantic blockbusters fame. It had a $10.7 million budget and had a box office return of approximately $121 million. So, getting an 11.5 times investment back is pretty good, I guess.
Yeah, you mean the director?
Yeah, not bad.
You mean the director Steven Spielberg, not Spielberg and Gold?
Yeah. No, we'll talk about that in a little bit, but yeah, apparently Tobe Hooper was director in name only. So it has a 88% on Rotten Tomato score. I should say an 88% Rotten Tomato score from critics and a 78% audience score.
That's kind of low.
Yeah, that really is. I'd expect it. Well, I mean, I might be playing favorites, but I'd expect it at least to be a lot higher from what I would, assume from, my friends and just the horror genre and, in total.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you something a little bit that in a little bit, but it's some people don't see it as the celebrated classic that a lot of people do. So, as for the plot, a family buys a new home only to discover it is haunted by angry spirits who terrorize them before abducting their youngest child. So that is it in a nutshell. And what I was talking about was that after watching this for the first time in 20 years, I was curious about what people thought of it because it is pretty well known. Like, it is lots of people's go-to movie when it comes to horror.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, like, I do like it, but it kind of lost something for me this
Really?
this time around. Yeah, like I said, not that I didn't enjoy it. It's just that I always remembered it like it was kind of blowing me away. Like I always recommended Poltergeist, and now I'm watching it. Like I said, didn't quite have the same effect. So, because we were about to do this, I did a Twitter poll where I said, "Are you a fan of the original Poltergeist movie?" And the results were 80% said yes, they loved it. 3% said no, they didn't like it. 11% said it's okay, not great. So that's pretty close to what the Rotten Tomato scores were. Now, 6% did say they hadn't seen it. So you actually had more people. You actually had like twice as many people say they didn't see it as opposed to didn't like it. So
we'll allow that.
So that is in the movie's favor. But yeah,
six people that won't be listening to this one.
I gotta say this: if you had asked me before watching this, this most recent time, I would have been in the 80% that said yes, I love it. Now I'm finding myself more in the 11% that says it's okay, but not, the great movie I thought it was. So, I know you guys are going to have we've already talked about it a little bit, so I know you're going to have a difference in opinion there.
That's all right.
And I know that I'm also going to get some flack from our listeners because I just know that this is just how these things go. Anytime I say something bad about a very popular movie, we usually hear about it. Exactly. So I know I'm in the minority because people really love this. But anyway, let's start with what we liked about it. So Mike, as usual, why don't we kick it off with you?
Well, my first like is going to be a little inflated because I got a little bit of trivia, but it's the Mr. Rogers scene.
Okay.
The guys are watching TV. Mr. Rogers comes on the TV, and it turns out the guy is like changing the channel on his TV across the yard. The neighbor's changing his TV, and like some people might be watching this wondering why the hell is the thing changing when he's not like aiming the remote at the TV and all that. Well, it turns out before there was infrared remotes, the first wireless remote was mechanical, and it used ultrasound to change the channel and the volume. And funny how it worked, when the user pushed a button on the remote, it struck a bar, hence the term clicker. And each bar emitted a different frequency, and circuits in the television detected this sound. And the invention of the transistor made cheaper electronic remotes possible, and they made these frequencies in the upper threshold of human hearing that were still audible to dogs.
So every time you change the channel, all the neighborhood dogs were going crazy?
Well, at least they knew about it, and it was something they just had to make their peace with. And it wasn't until... Yeah, and it says that some problems with this method was that the receiver could be triggered by naturally occurring noises. So if there was a jackhammer that put out like a massive range of sounds, part of your TV is going, okay, I'll turn up, or I'll turn down. And it turns out we didn't get the infrared remotes until 1980 when a Canadian company, ViewStar, was formed and started producing a cable TV converter with an infrared remote control. The product was sold through Philips for approximately 190 Canadian, and at the time the most popular remote was Starcom, which used 40 kilohertz sound to change channels, and the ViewStar was an immediate success with the millionth being sold on March 21st, 1985, very close to my 5th birthday, with 1.6 million units sold by 1989. And the reason I say all this is because if this movie took place in Canada, this entire scene could have been avoided. One, because we had infrared remotes, and two, our neighbors and our ghosts are really friendly.
Awesome. Leave it to those Canadians to save the day.
Yeah, and I thought, with all that the problems they were having, I thought it was bad trying to watch TV in the 80s and someone turned on the vacuum and you got all that static on the screen.
God. Trying to play NES and my mom will decide to start vacuuming.
But Mom, I was at the last level.
I don't know what made me more upset is when the mom would start vacuuming or like using the mixer in the kitchen and it cause all kinds of static, or the cat would my cat would start jumping at the TV when I'm trying to play. So, well, since we're going into some trivia, do you guys want to talk about, like, before we get into the likes and dislikes, talk about, like, a little bit of trivia, like the whole Tobe Hooper, Steven Spielberg thing?
Sure, I'm up for anything, buddy.
Sure.
Sure. I was going to save it for the end, but let's talk about it now, because I actually found this one of the most interesting parts of this movie. Because one of the things that you notice about this is that it has Tobe Hooper attached as a director, but this looks nothing like a Tobe Hooper movie. And I mean nothing. Think about Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and then think about Poltergeist.
Yeah, there was no food being thrown around at the Freeling table.
Yeah. Now.
Yeah, it seemed a lot. It seemed way too clean to be a Tobe Hooper film.
It didn't smell like Tobe Hooper, but let me tell you, it's got Steven Spielberg stench all over it. Because it looks an awful lot like E.T. to me.
Mm-hmm.
So, and this, of course, it's pretty well known that a lot of people said, for lack of a better term, Tobe Hooper was just Steven Spielberg's bitch. Like he...
Go get me a coffee.
Yeah, like he had total creative control. If he didn't like something, he said, "Nope, we're changing it. You take this out. You're doing it this way."
Carol Ann has to be blonde. Trust me. E.T. worked because it had a blonde girl in it. This movie has to have a blonde girl in it. That's how movies work now.
Yeah, because I think E.T. came out the same year, didn't it?
Yeah, and I think I'm trying to remember how this went. I should have actually made a note of this, but I think it was something in Steven Spielberg's contract where he could not be the director of two movies in the same year.
Yeah, I believe I read that. Yeah,
and that's the only reason why they hired a different director. But like I said, that was just for legality reasons, pretty much.
That's like saying Batman can't be in the east side of Gotham because of legal restrictions, so then he just sends Robin instead.
Pretty much, yeah.
And I know there's a lot of scenes. I know that were just flat out they've said that it was Steven Spielberg's idea. The scene with the steak crawling across the counter, that was Steven put that into the script.
Yeah.
I know the scene with the face peeling scene.
Mm-hmm.
Those hands were actually Spielberg's.
Yep.
So yeah. So he really, no pun intended, really was hands on in basically everything in this film.
You meant that pun, and I love you for it.
It was about 50-50.
I know a lot of people that were on the set, like some of the actors deny it, but a few of the actors and some other of the crew that was on the set said that Tobe Hooper was just coked out of his head during the entire production.
Well, yeah, you don't have to work. Why not blow your brains out on powdered courage?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would, we discussed this before. I would believe that Tobe Hooper was like that because if you watch Texas Chainsaw 2 after watching the original, that dude has to have been coked out of his mind. I love Texas Chainsaw 2, but he's definitely on something when he wrote and did that.
You're right. There is definitely a drug binge between those two movies.
Yeah, him and Bill Moseley were fighting over the last baggie. I could tell you that.
This is going to be my maximum overdrive.
Yeah. So let's talk about something else too. How about the Poltergeist curse?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's weird. It's a really weird coincidence how.
Which
it started off with the oldest daughter, the actress who played her, I believe.
Dominic Dunn.
Yeah, because she was killed before she died before they even went into Poltergeist 2, which was shortly after. I mean, there was a short period of time between the two movies.
Yeah, and they were so nice that they didn't even mention her in Poltergeist 2. They couldn't even say a throwaway line that she was away at college.
Yeah.
They just totally ignored her.
Well, in all honesty, not to speak ill of the dead, but her character was kind of extraneous.
Oh yeah, it was a tacked on character for sure, like an unnecessary character at least.
Oh yeah,
But and
that's
she
why
was
she's hardly in the film.
and she was murdered by her boyfriend, right?
Yep,
What
strangled.
happened to her? Wow, unbelievable.
And then Heather O'Rourke, the one that played Carol Ann, she died after the third movie.
She died during the third movie, actually.
What? Like, she was able to finish her parts, right?
Well, it was her parts were done, I believe, but the movie was still in post.
Yeah, they were able to.
Okay.
They were able to dedicate it to her.
Yes,
Okay.
But
it was.
she
It was
died
her
of
scene. The movie wasn't finished, but like her scenes were.
yeah,
I think that's
Gotcha.
what I got from it.
and
Anyway.
she had died of a bowel, something with her bowels, like
Yeah, she was misdiagnosed, and it ended up being like a severe bowel obstruction, I think.
yeah, like a vessel had just naturally collapsed, causing blood clots or something.
Yeah.
So that sent her to the hospital. They had, by the time they figured out what it actually was, because it looked like so many other things. But I don't think you could blame them. But
Yeah, and apparently, like, it's not as well known because this didn't happen to the to any of the cast members, but apparently, like, some of the crew that worked on this movie too were victims of some pretty horrific accidents.
Yeah, I've read there was a fire one night on the set, and
Yeah.
just like a lot of the people working on the set were injured.
Mm-hmm. Now, a lot of people are calling it the Poltergeist curse, and I think most people are pretty well aware of it because it's because of a certain scene that involved skeletons rising from the swimming pool. Which I had on my likes list, so I guess I can take that off my likes list if we're going to talk about it right now. But they discovered that when it came to making the skeletons, it was actually cheaper to buy real skeletons from a medical supply store, like actual human skeletons, than buying the plastic like doctor's office skeletons.
God bless America.
Prop skeletons. So
capitalism in action.
these people
That's
the skeletons of these people that had donated their bodies to scientific research were
Now got starring roles.
were used in a movie, and a lot of people think this is what it stems from. Now, I'm not a believer in anything, a true believer in anything supernatural. I think it's more of a coincidence, and I'm thinking if there's some kind of vengeful spirits, wouldn't he go to the execs that okayed this, like the higher ups, instead of some someone that had a minor role and some little some child actor, but.
Hey,
But
Sheldon,
anyway.
didn't you know all the cast of Nosferatu, cast and crew, they're all dead now. Okay?
Oh my God! I never
Curses
thought
are
about that.
real.
Wow, good point, Mike. Yeah, so like I don't put any stock into curses or anything like that, but it is pretty. I still find that unbelievable that they thought this was the best route to go. It's like, you know what? Who was the person that suggested that? Like, hey, you know what? I know you told me to go pick up these, a dozen plastic skeletons from a prop store, but just want to let you know, it's actually cheaper to buy real skeletons from a medical supply store, so I can just swing by there if you want.
Well, you know what it was? It was when Toby was high on coke. It was just like that scene in Young Frankenstein where when Igor gets the wrong brain, he went to the wrong place for the skeletons. That's all it was. Honest mistake.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's it.
And instead of the Spirit of Halloween store, he went to the city morgue.
Exactly.
They were just 2 blocks apart.
I know. It could happen to anyone, guys. Okay, cut them some slack.
And that's how they got the response from that horrific response from the actress. What is her name? Is it Jo Beth?
Jo Beth Williams?
Yeah. Once she was she got in the pool and they started releasing the skeletons, someone at the top yelled out, at a frame, "Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you, those are real skeletons."
Oh, another thing I read with one of the mishaps, I guess during that scene, one of the electrical cords was dangerously close to the swimming pool full of water, so she was also in danger of being electrocuted. And there's so much stuff, like if you do your research, there's a lot of stuff you can read. I mean, they also went into like the people that were in the sequels, how Will Sampson, he was the shaman, how he died of complications from heart surgery, and then Julian Beck, who played the evil preacher, he was dying of cancer while they made it, and he died before it was released. And
the guy that played the preacher.
Mm-hmm.
I read up a bit on his life. He was a fascinating actor. Turns out he banged one of Andy Warhol's girls' husbands.
Okay.
Like Andy Warhol had a bunch of girls. If you know anything about Warhol, he had a bunch of girls, and like girls that just hung around him. One of them took a shot at him, and shot through 4 Marilyn Monroe paintings that he had made. And that girl's husband was the side piece or partner to the guy that played the preacher. So he was a bi actor, and like you got to read his Wikipedia. What's his name again? Do you know it?
Julian Beck.
Yeah, read up on that. That guy lived quite a life.
Awesome.
The more you know.
Okay, so now we got some Poltergeist trivia out of the way. Let's go back to it. And Mike, I know I was going to say start off with you, but since I already got one of mine out of the way, one of my likes and one of the best parts of this movie for me was that pool scene with the skeletons rising up, like because it was a rain that disturbed the graves, right? At least that's what I'm thinking happened there. Maybe I'm wrong.
I think it helped them come out of the soil. Yeah.
Yeah. The rain had just been torrential for, well, it seemed like, what was it, a week? Just a week of constant nightly rain.
Yeah. So yeah, I love that scene. I thought that was for me that was one of the highlights of the movie for sure, if not the highlight. So, Mike, now we'll go to you. Tell me something you loved about this.
I already started off with a like with my Mr. Rogers, so I think we're passing to Eric.
Yeah. Eric, yes. Sorry. I see 5 minutes go by and I've already forgotten where we are.
That's okay. Everyone forgets me.
Oh.
That's okay. I got a few likes, but the first one I'll start off with is one of my things with movies, especially horror movies. I think we actually have to care about the characters, and this family here is a family I really enjoyed. I thought they had really good chemistry. I mean, I thought Craig T. Nelson and Jo Beth Williams, they seemed like a loving couple. They're very flirty. They work well off each other. The first time we see them at nighttime, they're rolling a joint while they're watching TV.
Yeah.
Heather O'Rourke, she's not, she's cute, but she's not overly Michelle Tanner Full House cute. She you don't want to turn the channel when she's on it. The younger brother is just the younger brother. He's nothing special, but he's nothing bad. When Dominique Dunn is on it, she's like in the beginning, she's fine. I don't mind her. I like, when the pool diggers are giving her shit and she flips them off, so she's kind of spunky when she's, first introduced.
And then they totally forget that aspect of her character for the rest of the movie.
Yeah, that's true. But I think the family is really well done with the acting and just the chemistry. You actually really care about these people, and then when you feel for them when they go through this hell.
Right. No, that's definitely a good point. And you mentioned about the child actors, like the 3 kids. Well, I guess the oldest sister, she's not really a kid because I think she was 21 when they made this movie, so I can't really call her a child actor. But
right.
Like the kids, I find that a lot of kids in horror movies are very annoying characters, like kind of over the top. Wasn't the case for these. These kids actually did a good job, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And,
too bad the casting directors never thought the same thing for that poor kid, for the boy. He's the only one that lived, but it was his career that died. Ooh, curse.
Yeah, so I gotta agree with that too. I had that on my list for the likes about the at least like the kid actors were good in this. So because like I said, in horror movies sometimes that's hard to come by. So,
Oh yeah, it really takes me out. Like, you know, say I'm watching Friday the 13th Part 6 or whatever we're on. You know, 90% of these teens are gonna die, but I at least want to be entertained and somewhat care about them. If they annoy the hell out of me, I'm not gonna be interested until they're dead. And I was interested in this family. You know, I really liked all the performances.
mm-hmm. Good point. Okay, Mike, back to you, bud.
I like the bird funeral. The older sister couldn't care less about the bird. The older brother wants to see the bones in a few months. And the dog just wants a chew toy. And Carol Ann immediately says, "Can we have a goldfish now?"
Yes, exactly.
How quickly kids grieve.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's pretty much it.
Saddest funeral ever.
No,
Okay,
I like
so-
I like the bird funeral in The Office better.
Yes. Is that a beak?
Okay, Sheldon, what's your like?
Okay, I gotta say, and I was surprised they put this on the list, but since we talked about the kid actors, Craig T. Nelson is actually not a bad actor. I'm kind of surprised. I don't really consider him in that category when it comes to good actors, and most of the time, like, he's not somebody you give a second thought to. When you think about, like, people that, you know, have had a successful acting career, which he has. I mean, he's been a working actor for a long time, but you don't really think of him as like a you know, one of the top performers in the field, I guess. But after
He's
watching
just
this,
an actor.
yeah, and after watching this, so I was actually thinking he did a pretty good job in this movie. Like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was actually a really good lead for the most part. Yeah. There's like one part I'll get to in my dislikes, but 90% of him, like I said, with my likes, you know, he was really good. I haven't seen a lot of him. I've seen this and a couple episodes of Coach, and I think he was fucking Turner and Hooch.
Yeah.
Maybe. But in this, I really, really enjoed his character a lot. And his performance, you know, really showed.
That's the thing, too. I guess that's part of it, because I can only name, like, a handful of things that I know him in, to be in, you know? So that's a big factor of it, too. But, like, after watching this, I was kind of like, I'm kind of surprised that... I was kind of surprised that he never became a bigger name than he did. So, anyway, I just thought I had to put that there, because it kind of caught me off guard. I'm going to start a Craig T. Nelson podcast.
Let's do that.
Mm-hmm.
You'll have one subscriber, and it will be yourself.
Oh, I thought it was going to be Craig T. Nelson. Okay, so Eric, what do you got next?
Okay, I only have a couple more, but my next one is the scene with the tree. And what I love about that scene, other than, you know, how intense it is when the tree, you know, busts through and grabs a little Robbie and starts eating them, I love the build-up to that. This is one of those movies I love to watch in the dark, because I think you get a better effect with this when you watch it in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure this was Spielberg. I think Toby was, you know, out getting him a sandwich one day. And I think this was the, you know, the countdown, you know, what is it? When you hear the thunder, you count, and then when the lightning flashes, that's how you know the storm is getting closer. And then just that build up, you know, the close up on Robbie's face as he's counting down, and the thunder and the lightning is getting closer and closer. I think that tension is just really, really great. You know, you're waiting for something to happen. You know, you don't know when it's going to happen, and then suddenly, you know, boom, that fucking tree branch comes and takes him.
Yeah.
And then this is kind of a, you know, an appendix to this. Like, what I liked is everyone knows Carol Ann gets sucked in the TV, right?
Well, the closet.
She gets sucked in the closet, and then they find her in the TV or whatever. But I liked how this, if you think about it, the spirits were kind of using that as a distraction. You know, the whole family's out trying to save Robbie, and little Carol Ann's, you know, left all alone in her room. So, I mean, I don't know if that's just me picking that up. And
No, you're right.
No,
This was a
absolutely
plan.
right.
yeah, so that whole scene, and it's a long scene too. It's got to be at least 5 minutes.
And they're riveting.
From him counting down to the tree breaking through to when Robbie goes in. He's the one that hears her, you know, talking through the TV, and he's, doing that little stutter, and then he's trying to scream a little bit, and it's just a little, the little puberty squeak or whatever he's trying to get out. And then suddenly he starts screaming, and they all hear her talking on the TV. I think that whole, like I said, maybe 5, I don't think it's 10, but 5 to 8 minutes or whatever is just a non-stop intense scene, and it's one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie.
Yeah, for sure. And it's a good scene. I actually have that on my list because I'll talk about that in a little bit, but it's a good scene. And before we started recording, we were talking about the possible connection between Friday the 13th and Evil Dead. I'm just glad there's no connection between Evil Dead and this movie, because that could have been a completely different tree scene. If,
that's the Roman Polanski tree scene.
Oh.
That tree would have broken into the girl's room.
Or Kevin Spacey, depending on who's the one getting eaten. Yeah. It doesn't matter.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I hope my mother is not listening. She's not. Okay.
Will you have to explain that to her? What you mean?
Yeah. I'll have my wife explain it.
Oh, even better. Yeah, I had that on my list because one of the things I had on my list was I said some of the special effects were really well done. Some. The highlights for me were definitely, like I mentioned earlier, the skeletons in the pool, the clown puppet, and the child eating tree. Like, those all stand out because you get Mike, you know this, and Eric, you've been listening to the show, so you know this too. I'm a sucker for those 80s practical effects.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely. So,
this was on my list too. Like, the tree comes in, it's got more branches than it did throughout the rest of the movie because it's just a bunch of stumps. But now it's got branches and shit, so it grew that during the storm. And I love how shit's moving around during the tornado. Carol Ann goes flying into Narnia. And but it's like the ghetto Narnia.
Yeah.
There's no line here to save you. This is where the line doesn't go.
It's West Chicago Narnia.
So yeah, this scene had excellent pacing and it was thoroughly engaging and terrifying.
Yep.
So
sure.
This was something I knew this was going to be on all of our lists. The tree attack.
Okay.
So I guess I'm next.
Yeah, go for it.
There's the kid. He's a huge Star Wars fan, or like it's pretty obvious that Spielberg was just sucking up to his buddy Lucas, because we see the kid's got Star Wars toys everywhere. He's got the sheets, a Vader poster, and like some thick plastic Vader next to his bed. It may be like a light up piggy bank or something. And we have like a Tauntaun Hoth Solo and this obscure droid, which I can't remember if he was a bartender or a moisture evaporator. But yeah, like they threw in an obscure droid, which wasn't C-3PO or R2-D2 or the any of the astromechs that get blown up. This was something that was either on the Hoth base or was in the Jawa's junk closet. So I like the fact that this kid was like a major Star Wars fan, and this was in '82 before even Jedi came out. So,
well, yeah, and then you think it's in '82. Jedi came out in '83, and Tangina, Zelda Rubinstein, she definitely could have played an Ewok.
she would be like the shaman of the Ewoks.
Exactly.
You come to our planet, and you tell us with you bring your War of the Stars down to this planet. No, the spirits are angry.
Okay, get the fuck out of here, Zelda. So, Mike, gonna give you a little Star Wars education, all right? I don't know about the droid. I can't confirm the droid, but that big Darth Vader head that you saw that you're thinking might have been a piggy bank, I'm gonna tell you exactly what that was. That was actually a action figure carrying case.
That was my second guess. That was what I wrote down in the bottom of my notes. What I thought it was.
I didn't have that. I did have some Star Wars toys as a kid. I didn't have that one, but a friend of mine had it, and yeah, it actually opens up and folds out. Even had like folding size that would come out, and it actually like had spaces for you to clip your figures like securely in place, and then you could fold it all back in again. I think it held like something like 25 figures or something inside.
Wow. I fucking hate this kid just out of jealousy.
Yeah, he's got some good stuff. Like he's got I'm bringing up a picture now because he's got Star Wars sheets. He's got the Darth Vader carrying case. He's got a huge TIE fighter.
The poster.
The poster. I think it's a turret, like one of the turrets from Huff. So yeah, he had a good collection. And once again, yeah, I agree. I don't like this kid. Fuck you, 80s kid.
I envy him.
So does that, we're talking Spielberg, does that make you hate Elliot from E.T. with his Star Wars collection as well?
Stupid.
He redeems himself because in the beginning of the movie he calls his brother penis breath. So I figure anyone that basically calls his brother a homo in the beginning of a kid's movie and gets away with it gets some respect points right there. I mean, like you're just implying that your brother sucks dick.
Okay, so
Eric. So I guess you're next.
Okay, my last major one is the score of the film.
Yeah.
Just the opening score where it's like if you watch this movie and you have no idea what it's about, you've never heard the title because if you know if it's called Poltergeist, you know what the fuck it's gonna happen.
Yeah, so if they strip the credits away, you would think you're watching some wholesome, like some modern day Little House on the Prairie shit. Like it is so wholesome and cute.
It's this nice wholesome score, and you have the fat guy on the bike, pedaling with the beer, and then you got the Mr. Rogers scene, and it's great how this score goes from nice and soft and melodic, and then when the intensity it hits you like a fucking brick, and then we have the scene where the orbs are coming down the stairs, so you have that little melodic scene, and then you got more intensity hitting you, and then
Tangina facing the closet with that beautiful pan shot and the wind blowing around and the strobe lights going off.
And then you have during the ending credits when you have that score, and then you have the little kids singing along, so it's sweet but it's still creepy as hell. And then if you listen to that whole fucking score, at the end you hear the children giggling. I'm just like, it's so great, but it still creeps me the hell out. I love it.
That's why it's
great score.
And that's why it's great. It's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
It did what it's supposed to do. So anyone else got anything for the likes list?
My other last one, it was just a small one. It's just like I have it literally written on my piece of paper. Jo Beth Williams. Wow, she was a MILF, if I would have to say so myself.
Yeah, that is so true. And I thought that last time I watched the movie, like before this most recent time, I should say. I thought she was quite the hottie, like when I watched it, and I thought, like, oh, that's probably going to be something I'm going to change my mind about that this time. But like, nope, she's definitely falls in the MILF category for sure.
Like I said, in the very beginning, she's an attractive woman. You wouldn't think anything special about her, but then, it's after everything's safe. Oh, I'm going to go take a bath, and then when she gets, attacked by the spirits and they're pulling her shirt up and she's going all around the ceiling and everything, I'm like, should I be scared or should I be really, really excited?
So many conflicting feelings.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, that's definitely a good one. That was I didn't have it on my list, but I full on agree. So the only thing I got left on my list is just the overall story. I'm good with it. It's nothing new by today's standards by any means, but pretty original in 1982. I mean, it certainly wasn't the first haunted house type of movie, but it was the first one to do it in this fashion.
Right.
So good on them. Like, they did come up with an original story. So
they took a played out idea and made it fresh, invigorating, and redefined it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So,
and I got a few quick likes. They're just mini likes, so I'll just breeze through them.
Go for it.
When they put the bird in that little box, and
even the bird,
and the kid says, "Tweety doesn't like the smell." I'm just like, who the hell are you to talk about a bird like what a bird is going to smell. And I couldn't figure out why they threw that in there until we see the parents in bed with a very similar box. And I realize, oh shit, they buried the bird in a paraphernalia box.
Yep.
Stoner parents. That is so cool. And then 25 minutes in, we get "They're Here." It's just quick, cute, iconic. It had to make it on the likes list because it is like the defining aspect of this movie.
That's got to be one of, it's got to be on at least a top 10 list of most memorable movie lines of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, when it comes
definitely.
to horror lines, it's in the top 10, right under "Welcome to Primetime, bitch." And the chairs on the table, like, it's just a quick scene, but the way they're all stacked perfectly, hanging over the edge, only held together by each other, that was disturbing. Like, the ghosts move that fast and precise.
Yeah, if we can go back real quick, one of you guys mentioned Craig T. Nelson. That scene there where Jo Beth Williams, she loves, when she sits Carol Ann on the floor and she slides across, she's having fun, and then you just see how terrified Craig is. It's between the two of them, I just love it.
Yeah, she's clearly she just snapped, and she's like, well, this is our fucking house. We can't afford to move anywhere else, so guess what? We got a ghost. And I like when they bring the psychic team in, like the B team Ghostbusters. Mm-hmm. They bring them in, and after seeing this shit, like the fact that the ghosts aren't hiding, they're holding nothing back, and this lady's trying to have her coffee, her hands are shaking, and the first words out of her mouth in that scene are, well, the determination of whether your house is haunted isn't easy. As the coffee pot is sliding across the table. After they witnessed a flying record being played by a protractor with no speakers. So, yeah. If I was on that team, I would have cracked open a big old can of Nopa-Cola and just fucked off.
Well,
yeah, that was like another thing, when I talked about how good the family and everything. Those, you got the woman, you got the black guy, and then you got the guy with the glasses. I guess that's their generic names. You don't really see the guy with the glasses very much. He gets scared away. But the other two, they're also likable. Their performances are pretty damn good. And I like how they could have left with the other guy. They actually want to stay. And at first they're there for research. But in the end, they want to help get the daughter back. So that makes them very likable as well.
Yep. They stick around despite the danger, which is great. And,
except for the guy with the glasses, because he just he did exactly like the most rational people would do, where ghosts make him hallucinate tearing his face off, and he just nopes the fuck out of there.
Yeah, that's also on my line. That's in my list as just one line. This guy gives new meaning to a facial scrub. And Zelda Rubinstein, we gotta give it up to her as a like.
Nope.
Because
Nope. No, we don't. Nope.
Well, as soon as she comes in, she goes, "Stand back, you're jamming my frequencies." Which is, if there's anything funnier than a little person with a high voice, it's that with a southern drawl.
Mike. Is that your final like?
No, the clown. Okay. That they foreshadowed this clown since the beginning, and you keep thinking the clown's going to do something, but every time you see the clown, he's just sitting there, he's getting blown around with the rest of the shit in the closet, he's not doing anything, and at the end of the movie, when that clown finally makes his fucking move, it shocked the fuck out of me.
Yep.
Because I just thought, maybe I was hallucinating, maybe the clown is just a MacGuffin. Oh no, he's been a fucking ninja, biding his time, waiting to strike. And the house implosion at the end, phenomenal. Just like like they're done. No one else is moving into me. I'm fucking done with you assholes. I'm going away. My planet needs me. Goodbye. And the house just goes away. And then at the very end, when they get into a motel, what does the dad do? Throws out the motel TV.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had a lot more likes because there was just so much about every part of this was just it just tickled me. But now I'm done.
Okay, so that's it for likes.
Yeah.
We've talked about everything.
Yep.
For the most part, there's
good.
still like other like smaller things I liked about this movie, but I think I've got the main things that I want to focus on out of the way. So I'm going to start off with the dislikes, if you guys don't mind.
No, go right ahead.
Mike,
Go ahead.
gonna go against what I thought was going to be your last like, but Tangina, I did not like her. I'm sorry, Zelda Rubinstein is a shitty actor, and Tangina is a fucking annoying character. Fuck that midget. And not in the same way as that, like, you know, that Pornhub search that you delete after every time. I mean,
I was gonna say, I thought I saw a movie like that just the other day.
Oh, you mean Bridget the midget?
Yeah.
but no, I'm sorry. I don't know why that's who they decided to go with to portray. Like, they could have gotten anybody to be like a psychic or a medium, and that's what they went with. No, I'm sorry.
Well, here's the thing with that. We spoke about the curse earlier, and it made a really good True Hollywood story. And when they were discussing the Tangina character, they showed, you know, of course it was Spielberg's notes. They showed that it had to have been a midget, and maybe she was just the only one that wasn't picked to be an Ewok. You know, just standing around.
Well, she wasn't a natural actress. She would think she was like she was a scientist, actually. She was a bacteriologist. And
Really?
only in her later years she decided to get into acting.
Cool.
So, about, like, in her mid-40s, that's when she started.
She was the actress. She was one of the people that actually said in an interview that Tobe Hooper was coked out during the whole thing. And
He once did a pile as big as me.
Well, you know what? This wasn't really in my dislikes, but I'll kind of throw it into my, like, just regular trivia that, we were told to write down. I didn't mind her character so much, but I have for my WTFs, I literally write down, Tangina sucks as a medium.
Yeah.
And the reason why I think she sucks as a medium, yes, she cares about the family, she wants Carol Ann safe, but her most famous line out of all three movies is, "This house is clean." What happens later? The house is not clean.
nope.
No.
She's out of all the people, that they pick her, probably because she was the only one around, and she saves Carol Ann. Yes, let's give her applause. And then she says the house is clean. And then what happens later? Jo Beth Williams is, pulled up the walls and the ceiling like Freddy Krueger did to the one girl, and then the closet tries to eat the kids again. I think they need to get their money back from her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at least half the money back. Like, you did half a fucking job, bitch.
Half the money from half the person.
Yeah, so that's a good point. Like, they bring in a medium that knows all about this stuff. She says that the problem's done, the house is clean, but it's obviously not. So yeah,
questionable actress, questionable psychic.
Mm-hmm.
And then they bring her back for 2 sequels.
Yep.
Why would you bring her back if she didn't do her job the first fucking time?
I think she's the only one who, despite not being a charlatan, is the only one that would be like, oh shit, this is real hounding. She's the only one that couldn't run away fast enough because of her little legs. They just said, whoever doesn't want to help Carol Ann get out of this dimension this time, run out of the room. And she was always the last one in the room, so they're like, all right, it's you. So, oh my gosh, this is terrible. We're terrible people. I love you.
Yeah, as long as we're laughing, that's all that matters to me.
Yeah, she's dead. She doesn't care. So,
That's right.
And so for my dislike, first I was pissed off that the kids ran this guy off his bike with their RC cars. But after seeing how he handled it, I can respect those kids. I mean, this guy rushes into the home with cans spraying and half the case. Like, he left a beer out there with kids, and he just,
That's
off.
actually on my dislike. You don't leave a beer behind.
Yes, exactly. That was next on my list.
And there's no way all these cans were spraying, given that they only fell, 2 feet onto the ground, do a roll, at least 3/4 of those beers would have been fine. A few of them may have been punctured and spraying. But the way he did it, it's like he dropped them into a fucking laundry machine. Like he tossed them into a dryer. So he comes in and he brings in the most sprayingest cans. And if you're really into this football game, you think you'd want to protect the TV from flying beer.
Right.
So fuck this guy. And those kids had every right. When you're an idiot, you deserve to have the world pick on you until you smarten up.
Well, I mean, I had that scene on my dislikes because it pissed me off because this guy is just like picking up like I think he was carrying like a 12-pack, wasn't it?
I think so.
And I mean, come on. First of all, you've got like, give him some. It's actually, I think it's a 24-pack. Now that I'm thinking of it.
Yeah, it was a 2-4. There was too many cans.
Okay, so you got these shitty kids with their RC cars, and they go and run this guy off his bike. First of all, like they make him land on his nuts, and he's already a fat bald guy that's got to wear those tight 80s sweatpants. They make him land on his nuts, drop his beer, and destroy half of it. How this guy did not stay out there and fucking crush those kids' cars to a pulp on the street is beyond me, because I would have been out stomping some cars.
Yeah, I would have smashed those cars, and then I would have smashed those kids if they came after their cars.
Like, I'm sorry, this is 1982. Those cars are much more expensive than that beer.
Exactly.
I would have had some brand new RC cars there. I would have either smashed them or just grabbed them and brought them home. But
I mean, bringing home all those spraying cans into the house, like not even like, you'd think you'd open up the top to take the pressure off and then bring them into the house. But no, he runs through the kitchen, spraying beer all over the place and then in front of the TV.
Yes.
And all these idiots are so mesmerized by the game. None of them can tell, by the way, there is ample amounts of beer in all directions, including the TV that, could short out.
yes, first of all, that happens. We all know you drop a beer can and it cracks open and starts spraying. That's you. All you do right there is just immediately go shotgun that thing.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to just like pick it up and try to run inside with it. You're going to shotgun it right there. Every spraying can, you're going to shotgun it right there on the lawn. Then you're going to check to see which beers are okay, and then you're going to go stomp some kids.
In that order.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so who gets the next dislike?
Oh, let's go to Eric, because this was his. He loves this movie, so I want to hear him talk some trash about it.
Sure.
Well, other than the dropping, you don't leave a beer behind scene. The only dislike I have, I have two dislikes, but they kind of coincide with each other. Is we were talking about Craig T. Nelson's strong performance and this and that. The only time I don't like Craig T. Nelson in this movie, it's when the all the shit's happening at the end of the movie. When Jo Beth Williams, she can't get out because the caskets are blocking the way. He does. I mean, it's a trope now. He does the screaming with his hands behind his head, at the top of his lungs, and then he looks at the realtor guy, and he yells how, because
you move the headstones. You never move the bodies. You son of a bitch.
Exactly. That, just his line delivery there, and then he does either a cackle at the end or something. It just makes me wince because of how good his performance was in the very beginning. And then I'm not a writer. I've never claimed to be a writer. I'm not a movie critic. I don't know. I think the ending felt a little flat because of how intense it was. I mean, that's an intense, probably 10 minutes. And then, yes, they go to the motel, and then we get the ha-ha where he moves the TV out and leaves it outside. I'm not saying I could have made the ending better, but I just thought it kind of fell flat after that intense scene.
Yeah, no, I agree totally.
Those are actually, honestly, my only dislikes of this film because, I tried to... I've already talked about how much I love the film, both on and off the air, but I tried, because I said, I gotta at least get one or two, and probably the flat ending, and then just Steven's, banshee yell at the end.
Well, I think it was just his exasperation. Like, my boss is a fucking tool. He's the reason for all this shit.
Mm-hmm.
He's not just a brief annoyance while my daughter was missing. He is actually the impetus for all this distress.
Yeah.
So, Sheldon, what's your next dislike?
Okay.
Or
Now, you're going to be surprised by this one. Because I already talked about there's some effects in this movie that I really loved. I'm a sucker for 80s practical effects, and some of them were really well done. Some other ones, not so much.
like when the psychic saw when the psychic saw the kid's bedroom?
Yeah. Well, some of them seem cheesy even for 1982, which, I mean, you know, like the 80s were there was a lot of cheeserific effects going on, which I'm usually okay with, but some in particular stood out to me. Like, for instance, in the kids' room, the floating toys. They use like the matting process to do the floating toys, and I'm like, man, put them on strings. Like, use some clear strings would have been much more effective.
Yeah, it looked cartoony.
It did.
Yeah.
The vortex that sucked Carol Ann into the closet, like, there's something about it just didn't do it for me. I don't like that effect.
You mean where they use a strobe light to hide the fact that they don't have anything physical there?
Yeah, strobe light. Don't use strobe lights in your effects.
Yeah, we've seen this before.
Yeah. Now, this was done better than the last time we complained about a strobe light effect, but still, like, I don't know what it is that people think, like, putting a strobe light makes things look scary, but it just looks like a strobe light. It looks like a rave.
I think it's because of the disorienting effect that it would have on the victim.
Yeah. But anyway, I just found some of the effects in this were off the mark.
Yeah, like when that record is spinning and it's like playing music, I'm just like, you're putting that there as a gag, but you know, I can just tell that like you're just green screening all this shit, as well as like you're using what do you call it, the matting process, like your green screen and stop motion animation combined.
Yeah. So
and like what was the point of the record being played with a protractor or something, like really? And I guess my next dislike would be fuck this clown. During all the build, like to borrow a phrase from Zombieland, fuck this clown. The clown, like, why? Mm-hmm. Even if he didn't do anything at the end of the movie, why would you have this thing and it's always mounted at the kid's bed? Like those, like I'm pretty sure that they put him there just to fuck with the kid. Like the parents are just thinking. Parents are just laughing.
He probably got it from Grandma, and he wanted to throw it away. And then Mom was like, "No, you can't throw away Grandma's present. She made that for you. She thought you would like it, so you can't throw it away, but you can keep it in the chair on the opposite side of the room," type of deal.
No, I'll be like, keep it in the basement, locked in a trunk. If I've got to keep it.
Yeah. And yeah, I got like some small ones, but we'll just pass it on to Eric. Like, Eric, did you say that was the only one?
Yeah, I just had the kind of a dull ending, and then the Stephen Banshee yell. But other than that, those were the only dislikes I had. Because we also talked about, my WTF was, how Tangina was a shitty medium. So that's about it for dislikes.
Well, I think she's a small.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Just when you thought we were done with tiny jokes. Oh, man, that was such a beautiful setup. I could not resist.
That was good. I'll give you points for that.
Thanks. So, Sheldon,
I'll give you half a point for that. It was a small joke.
Okay, Sheldon, what's your next dislike?
No, that was pretty much it. Like, I don't... Like, I know I said I had a difference of opinion from, like, watching this movie this time around as the first few times. It's not really just, like, I guess it just didn't have the same effect on me. Like, I had this movie built up in my head from just remembering it as a kid and thinking it was something much more awesome than I thought it was the latest time I watched it. So it's not just like, it's just overall, I guess it just didn't measure up to my memories. That's the best way I can describe it. I'm not sure if that makes sense, but...
Okay, so I'll just rapid fire mine. Who gives a waffle to their dog? It wasn't raisin or blueberry. Like this kid's got no appreciation. That was a good looking waffle. Like I said, well, I didn't. It's not a big dislike, but when the daughter comes out going after the tornado passes, the useless daughter comes out and says, "Mom, Dad, it's a tornado." Yeah, no shit. Also, that's what's got your attention, not the fucking tree that tried to deep throat your brother and decide to go visit the land of Oz, or at least its version of hell.
Well, he's a younger brother, and at that age, older sisters hate their younger brother. She was probably pissed that the tree didn't eat him.
Yeah, she couldn't give a fuck if the tree ate him or not.
And she's like, "Come on, I saw Evil Dead. You really fell short in what you could have done." And, yeah, like just all in all, the sister seemed tacked on. Like she didn't add anything to this at all.
No, she really didn't.
And then the way that the father covers, like he takes off work, but he's covering up the daughter's disappearance. Like the boss knows she's missing school, but he's like, "Oh no, she's around here somewhere." I mean, like, it just looks from the boss's perspective like Steve killed his daughter.
Yeah.
Like no one's showing her where she is. They're just telling her she's around. No. And then my last dislike, which is a big one. You know what really helps when I'm running from a corpse marathon and I'm trying to line up my car keys with the ignition while being blinded by a strobe light implosion that's fucking up my depth perception? Cacophonous screaming from a pair of hysterical women. That really helps me concentrate. Oh, and look, my shithead daughter, Princess of Redundantopia, comes along to scream questions that are answering themselves in front of her.
I actually think that, like, to me, that's how people are going to react in that situation. I know it still counts. Like, I know what you're saying. Like, that it is.
Like,
it sucks,
imagine the dad. Imagine the dad. He's like, obviously, shit is going south. I need to get my family out of here. It's really dark. I need to line up my keys, and I'm being blinded by flashing lights. I need to concentrate. Oh, look, they're screaming at me to open the door, which I'm doing. Or they're just screaming in general while we're in the car. Like, you're not in danger anymore. You're out of the house. Shut the fuck up and let me pull out of the driveway. And then the daughter's like, "What's happening?" Lights are shooting out of the house, corpses are coming out of the ground, and the house is imploding. You're seeing all this. Why are you asking questions?
Yeah, it's very obvious what's happening, right?
It's like, it's the end of days. Like, just get in the car, and let's just hope that this shit doesn't spread. So, yeah, I'm all out of dislikes now. My rage, like the tornado tree, has passed.
Do you feel better?
I do.
A little bit? Like a Tangina size better?
I guess we're going off on a lot of Tanginas here.
Yeah.
Okay,
just a little.
So, all right, so we talked about what we liked and what we didn't like. I don't know about you guys, but I do have one thing for the what the fuck category. And that is, what the fuck did Craig T. Nelson throw up? Do you guys remember that?
He threw that up in the second one.
Was that in the second movie?
Yeah.
Shit, I shouldn't have watched both of these movies together.
What the fuck?
I think we're calling a what the fuck on the podcast.
Yeah, what the
Yeah.
fuck, Shelby?
you
You're
doing?
talking about a scene from the wrong movie. Damn, that's usually a Mike thing.
Well, Mike, next time I send a mean, picture or direct message, I'll make sure Mike's not the one to get it.
No, okay, so that's in the second,
he gets a freebie.
That's in the second one when he barfs up like an Abe Sapien.
Yeah, he drinks he's drinking the tequila, he swallows the worm, and then he pukes up this little fetus creature.
Yeah, because
that
Cain.
tries to attack him.
Yeah, because the preacher Cain was the tequila worm.
Yep.
See, I watched I watched 1 and 2 like in a row when I watched it for the show, and shit, I can't believe I mixed up those things.
Well, you know what? I'll give you credit because you've only mixed up one thing, and as long as we've been talking, that's pretty good.
I hope so. Maybe after playing this back, I'll find some other things.
Speaking of credits, have you ever seen black credits with a white outline?
Yeah, I did in this movie.
Yeah. What'd you think of them? Like,
you're the credit guy. You go for it. You didn't have any boobs to talk about, so I thought credits would be on your list.
Yeah, I just thought, like, for everybody who was listening to this, just thinking, well, Mike didn't talk about the credits. Haha, fuck you.
Yeah. I thought you were just going to wait for the end. We do our sign off. I'm Sheldon. I'm Mike. And we'll see you next time on the Graveyard Shift. I didn't like the credits!
I just thought it was really weird to see, like, black credits with a white outline. Like, it's never been done before.
Not that I know of, anyway, but...
I don't recall any of it either.
It did kind of help, though. I'm surprised it didn't get repeated, because when they showed those daylight suburban scenes with, varying backgrounds, like trees, skies, roads, those credits were really easy to read. So, I just thought it was weird. But, like, my biggest what the fuck, the rest are just trivials. And I think we've already covered them, like the B-Team Ghostbusters, the keeping that tree basically as a ladder since all the branches are off of it. And why the hell did they keep the clown? So the biggest thing is, does everything that gets caught in the light come out covered in beet pudding?
Yes.
I mean, like, we see the steak, like, growing, like, what are those things that you light on fire and they crackle with ash?
Oh, like
snakes?
The ash snakes, yeah.
Yeah, the ash snakes from 4th of July.
Yeah, but this is like a meat snake.
Mm-hmm.
And then the baseball comes out covered in beet pudding, and then the wife and the daughter come out covered in beet pudding. So yeah, that's my big what the fuck.
It's
beet pudding.
It's ectoplasma.
Oh yeah. He slimed me.
Exactly. Okay, so that's our coverage of Poltergeist. So guys, I'm pretty sure what you guys are going to say that. What would you say if you're going to give it a 1 to 10 rating? What would you give it?
Let's see. You want me to go
Yeah,
first?
sure.
I guess. Yeah. Well, it's no secret. It's going to be high up there. Like I said, my dislikes are very minimal. Other than, Tangina being a shitty medium and then Steven screaming. You know what? I'm not going to totally blow this one, but I'll give it a 9.
Okay, I think that's reasonable. I'm going to be more with the people on Rotten Tomatoes. I would give it like between 75 and 80. I liked it. It's not what I remembered it as, not as good, but I did like it, so I'm good with like giving it an 80.
Although that's not between 1 and 10.
Okay, an 8. Jesus Christ.
All right, I'll give it an 8. I'll give it an 8 as well. I might as well start being cooperative.
Why start now, right?
Yeah, really. Okay, well that's good. No, definitely recommend it. It's still a great ghost story. It's done differently than most haunted house type of movies are done. It's definitely got that Steven Spielberg flair to it, and doesn't have any
none of that Hooper flair.
No, none at all. Like, don't go into this if you haven't seen it. Don't go into this thinking it's going to be one of Tobe Hooper's typical type of movies, because it is not. So
it's the dark side of E.T.
If you're a Spielberg fan looking for a lighter horror movie, then this is for you. If you're thinking it's going to be, one of the gritty, very dark Tobe Hooper type movies, you're going to be very disappointed.
Here's one last thing I'll throw in really, really quick, because I know we've been talking a while. Make sure, like, if parents nowadays, we know how sensitive children are nowadays.
Oh, of course.
Do your research on this, because just because it has a PG rating doesn't mean it's for all ages.
Yeah. Just because it has a PG rating doesn't mean you're not going to see somebody tear their face off.
Exactly.
Or rolling a J in bed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think we're all in agreement that we would recommend it, though.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Definitely enjoyed it, and I look forward to waiting until my nephews are past the age of being traumatized, so I can watch this with them.
So so that's
and then you can watch it yourself just for Jo Beth Williams. Just lock the door and pull down the shades, and you'll be good to go.
If
Oh, yeah. Take that victory bubble bath. Yeah, you earned it. Oh, don't go in your room because you're going to pull a Freddy Krueger and crawl the walls.
for sure. Okay, so Mike, I'm very curious because I really don't know what you're going to do for this segment.
Oh, you mean my kill of the week?
Exactly.
I was actually wondering that myself.
Because I can only think of one actual death that happened in the movie. So, but I'll let this is your thing. You go for it.
Oh, I pray it's what I'm
I
thinking.
hope so. I'm waiting for this.
The only death that I can remember is the bird.
That's it.
Good night, everybody.
Mike's kill of the week. The bird was alive, and then it died.
It is dead, deceased, no more. It has passed on from this mortal coil. It has ceased to be. It has expired.
I thought, literally, I was, just before we started recording, I'm, going through my notes, making sure everything is all arranged. I was like, Mike's kill of the week? What's it gonna be? And I'm like, who died in this movie? And I was like, because the guy tearing off his face was an hallucination. All the other corpses we see were people that were already dead, for a long time, from the looks of things. I was like, who died? No one died in this, except the bird. That's it.
Yeah. Yep, he is bereft of life. He rests in peace.
I'm like, he's either going to say the bird, or he's going to give a little tribute to the beer that died. The beer that got killed.
No. My tribute would go to the tree. He was denied his last meal and got death by wind.
Ah, good one. This is the first time yet, I think, that your kill of the week wasn't a person.
You hit a milestone on your 25th episode.
Oh my god.
Oh.
So, guys, Eric, good pick, man. This is one I was looking forward to covering. So glad we got a chance to do this.
Oh, this was an absolute joy, and you really added to it. So thanks for the movie, and thanks for thanks for not leaving us to discuss it amongst ourselves.
Yeah.
Well, I try not to do that. Maybe, it might happen sometime in the future, but all jokes aside, I was looking forward to this. I just like bullshitting movies, and, you guys are, have the same type of humor as me, and this, all in all, this was just fun.
So Eric, I did mention earlier, before we introduce you in, about your YouTube channel. Why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about it?
Okay, my YouTube channel is called Hey Internet, you put a comma there, Eric here. It's called that because that's how I introduce every video. You can say I either stole that or am paying homage to Bernie Mac from the Bernie Mac show. He always, introduced the episode, say, Hey America, and stuff like that. So, But I do regular movie reviews, I guess you would call them. I have a category where I call You Hate It, I Don't, where I take a movie where I feel like I'm the only one who enjoys it, and I try to defend it. Like, I've done Howard the Duck and Super Mario Brothers and Jason Goes to Hell and that. And then I have a whole playlist of other stuff, but the only other thing I'll mention, because Sheldon said how much he enjoyed it, my wife and I do something called cartoon commentaries, where we try to find obscure cartoons from like the late 70s, early 80s, early 90s, and literally record them off of YouTube and give our commentaries. I usually have had 3 or 4 beers and not safe for work. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, that's what, I'm loving all your videos so far, but the ones that are standing out most to me are some of these more obscure 80s cartoons. Because, we talked about this earlier, but when you mention 80s cartoons, everyone knows the popular ones: He-Man, Real Ghostbusters, Thundercats, G.I. Joe, stuff like that. But you get some of these really obscure ones that only got 1 season. Some of them didn't even get a full season. And
like Turbo Teen?
Yeah, you know about them. A lot of people don't, because, they did, like I said, there was so few of them. But it really brought back
He's
memories.
a kid that turns into a car
Yeah.
when he gets wet.
Like-
How could this show not last?
Yeah.
And yes, Turbo Teen is on the list for future episodes.
Oh, that's good.
Just so you know.
I'm looking forward. Some of the ones you said is on the list. Can't wait for them. But
Have you done Rubik's Cube yet?
I have never heard of that.
that's a
You didn't know Rubik's Cube got a series?
Jesus.
Yeah, I think that some of the most watched ones I've done is the Teen Wolf series, and then Hulk Hogan's Rock and Wrestling. Those are probably the two ones with the biggest views. But I've done we've done He-Man and She-Ra, but then we've done obscure ones like Pac-Man and Fantastic Voyage, Hammerman, the MC Hammer cartoon where he saves the world with magical shoes. And then
It's not parachute pants?
And then one of my first ones was called Pro Stars.
Oh,
where it's
Wayne Gretzky.
It's Bo Jackson,
Yeah.
Wayne Gretzky, and Michael Jordan save kids from evildoers.
Yep. They're superheroes, kind of, or like I don't know if you call them superheroes, but like they're kind of like a.
There's something.
Yeah, it's hard to explain. Yeah, that's what I like because like I said, you've got these popular 80s cartoons, but I really like talking about these very obscure ones that hardly anyone knows about, that only got a few episodes before they were pulled, and yeah, it's good stuff. I can't wait to see some of the ones on the upcoming list.
Yeah, coming soon, just based on Sheldon's request, we will be doing Gravedale High with Rick Moranis. And I will be finding the Cartoon All-Stars to the Rescue anti-drug cartoon.
I'll send it to you. I got a good copy of it.
Oh,
Awesome.
You'll make President Reagan proud.
And check out what I sent you, because it was just a link to Rubik the Amazing Cube. Just look at that.
Okay.
Just look at that cover art, just as a sample of what you're dealing with here.
Well,
Let's see here.
yeah, take a look at it. It's I had no idea this one existed either.
Jesus.
That's amazing.
All right. Well, usually we do 2 episodes. Me and my wife at night. I think we're gonna try to search and do 3 of them. We'll do the 2 for Sheldon, and we'll do Rubik's Cube.
Looking forward to it.
Rubik
man.
the Amazing. It's Rubik the Amazing Cube. He gets magic powers when he's solved.
I'll decide how amazing it is by the end of it.
Well, Eric, man, again, thanks for joining us tonight. This was a blast. Hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's been fun. I did. I had a lot of fun.
And we'll be sure to get that get a link to your YouTube channel in the show notes, so people that want to see it, and you really should, especially if you're 80s kids like us. Like, I know you don't just focus on 80s things, but like that was the highlights for me. So yeah, check it out. You're going to enjoy it. And if you want to contact us, if you have a movie suggestion, questions, comments, you want to tell me how many points I lose for my horror cred for getting Poltergeist 1 and 2 mixed up, you got a few options of doing that. You can do it the old-fashioned way by emailing us at graveyardshiftpod@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter at GYS_horrorpod. And you can connect with us on Facebook at facebook.com/thegraveyardshiftpod. If you'd like to make a donation to keep the show going, to help out with some of the administration costs, some promotion, you can do so at www.patreon.com/graveyard. All our Patreon donors get access to some exclusive Patreon content. We post a bonus episode every month, unless we forget to do it. Like I did last month, but it's there now, so shut up. And of course, we totally understand not everybody has the money to give us money, but you can still help us out a ton. You can go on iTunes, rate, review, subscribe. Honestly, in the long run, that's the best way to help us. You can also give us a review on Facebook if you follow us there. And you can also follow the show on Stitcher and Google Play. I think we might have some issues there that I need to check out, but we're supposed to be there at least. And if none of those options are available to you guys, just keep doing like you're doing. You're finding our show somehow. Keep listening. Share us on social media. Share us by word of mouth. Tell somebody you think that might be interested in listening to us ramble about horror movies. If you
If you can't find us on Google Play, we'd like to know, how the hell are you hearing us right now?
Yeah. It's a mystery.
They typed in Poltergeist 2 and this popped up.
Thanks. But whatever way you're finding us, keep it up, guys. We really do appreciate it. Our viewership is growing, and we thank you, and really want to thank you about how much our Twitter is growing. That is amazing. We're going up easily like 100 followers a week. And it's been going like that for a while. So thank you guys so much. We do appreciate it. Mike, if someone wanted to hear more from you, how would they go about doing it?
I also do a podcast called the Playing with Power Podcast, a Nintendo Power retrospective discussion podcast with even more tangents than this episode, where me and two Americans read and discuss an issue of Nintendo Power and basically find ways to disgust and horrify each other.
Yeah.
For kids.
Yeah. And I got a bone to pick with your two co-hosts from there, from the Playing with Power podcast. So this is for you, John and Ben, because I heard that you guys weren't a fan of our October theme, where we did a theme called Halloween That's Not Halloween, where we covered movies that take place on Halloween that had nothing to do with the Michael Myers Halloween movie series. So you people that have been listening to us for a while, you know what we did. Apparently they wanted to throw a little shade because they weren't enjoying our theme. That they figured, Halloween, why would you, if you're a horror fan, why would you not do the Michael Myers movies? It's because they've been done to death. Everybody does them. And you guys aren't even horror fans, so shut the hell up. What do you know? Go play your little video games, read your magazine, and leave a professional podcast alone, okay? I'm just kidding. I love you guys.
And let Mike talk more.
No, don't do that. Guys, no, please, no. He talks enough. Jeez.
Oh, how quickly the tequila worm has turned.
Zing.
No, seriously, I'm not mad. Like we got that question a lot, but that's the reason why we didn't do those movies. It's just because it's been covered really well by some other people, and we were just like, okay, we're just going to do something else. And but if you're a fan of old Nintendo games, like you're a fan of Nintendo, you had a subscription to Nintendo Power back in the day, like I did. Check it out. It's a great bit of nostalgia. I really like it. It's the podcast that got me into podcasting, so I'm a fan. But so that's it. That's our coverage for this week. And once again, Eric, thanks for coming on. Hope to have you on again sometime, and keep those videos coming. We're enjoying it.
Yeah, I'd love to be another guest, yeah. And it doesn't even have to be, like I've said on my... I'm not trying to shamelessly plug my channel, but I've said, like in the end of my videos when I ask requests, it can actually be a movie that you guys may think that I'll hate. I'll do it for the good of the show.
Yeah, you suggest.
All right, then you asked for it. Hollow's End.
Okay, that's fine. As long as you guys do holidays.
Oh, okay, it's a deal. It's a deal.
Deal.
All right, guys.
Just make sure to mention that this request was brought to you by the Graveyard Shift. So if they hate your review. And just like any hate mail towards this episode will not be directed to me this week, but to the Graveyard Shift, the graveyardshift@gmail.com.
You got it. Deal.
All right.
Is it the Graveyard Shift or Graveyard Shift Pod?
Graveyard Shift Pod.
All right.
Yeah, how come you don't know our email address?
Because I don't send email to us.
Okay, sure.
So, Eric, just tell them to just send that email to the Graveyard Shift at gmail.com and let them wonder what the fuck is everybody talking about. Well, everybody here at the Graveyard Shift Pod will be fine. We'll just get all this loving adoration from our fans.
Aww.
Okay, well, guys, this has been fun.
It has.
So, check out our show notes for Eric's YouTube channel, and you know how to find us, so please come back and join us again. Until then, I'm Sheldon.
And I'm Mike.
And thank you for visiting us at the Graveyard Shift.